let's talk about the project browser. So looking at your screen right now, once you've opened your sample project, you'll see the project browser on the bottom left-hand side over here. If for some reason you can't see it and you're on the architectural tab or any other tab, you can just go to the view tab and then go to the user interface, and it should be here that you've selected your project browser. And if it's for some reason unchecked, check it and it'll show up on the side here, right? So going back to our project browser, what you'll realize is there's a different hierarchy of things that we can look at. So we can expand, we can contract, right? If you click the plus button, it'll show you all the things underneath it. If you click the minus button, it'll sort of contract all of that, so you won't see all the details about what's underneath it. The best way for me to describe this is like a table of contents. If you look at a book, open a book, you'll see a table of contents. Okay, this page has this page has this page has this. It's like that, but a digital version, right? So you can actually go to any view, any sheet, any 3D view, any section view, any floor plan, any elevation by looking at the project browser, right? So if I want to go to the level 4 floor plan, I can double click this level 4, and it'll open the level 4 floor plan, right? It's a tongue twister. So as you can see, it's actually added a tab to the top. So I was initially on level 2 and I went to level 4. You can close out whatever tab you want. So if I want to go back to level 1, I can click this, I go back to level 1, I can click this X button and it'll close it. I'll go back to level 1, right? The way you know what the current view is it's going to be named up here, but it's also going to be bolded here. So even though I'm selecting level 4, what's bold? What's bold is L1 over here, right? So that means that's the one which is currently open on the screen. And if I go to cover, it's not going to be bold anymore because it'll be the cover page, right? Which is not in this, it's in another, it's in the hierarchy somewhere in the table of contents, but we can't see it right now. So if you go back to level 1, what you'll see is you can actually expand and contract these different things, and you have floor plans, which is just like a bird's eye helicopter view looking at it from the top. You can have 3D views. So 3D views, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to create some, if you want to have a 3D view of the kitchen, you can create that, put it on a sheet, show everyone, show your design team. You can have elevations. So elevations is pretty much like looking at the building from the side, the east or the west or the north. So for example, if I open this east elevation, you have all the levels. It's looking at the building from the side, and you can see pretty much what everything looks like from the side of the building, right? And you have section views. So section views are what we add to our floor plans. We usually send these floor plans out to subcontractors and consultants and engineers and architects in order to get their approval, in order to show them so that we can all coordinate a project, right? What we'll have is we'll have these sections. So they look like small hats, and you can place as many sections as you want. And the reason we place these sections is so they can go and refer to that drawing and they can see what it looks like in that small area, right? It's like cutting the building from all the way from the top here all the way to the bottom. It'll cut that building, or you can just cut it halfway through, or you can cut it a quarter of the way through. It doesn't matter. You can specify, and you have a separate drawing for that where you can see details about what it's like to look at the building when you cut it from that area, right? So all those sections, when you create them, go to the project browser and they're going to be underneath this sections area. So you have all these different sections that you've sort of added, right? You don't have to always navigate using the project browser. What you can do is you can actually go to one of the sections you've placed on the sheet, right, over here, and you can right click this and you can go to view, and it'll open that section. Okay, so this section is the transverse section elevator 1. So if we open these sections, you'll see transverse section elevator 1, that's been bolded. So that's the one which is currently open, right? Let's close this and it'll go away. So you have your different sections, and that's pretty much all there is in the views area. So if we contract this views, if we click this negative button, it's gonna collapse all of the views, And you're going to have a bunch of other things that we can look at in the project browser, like legends. You can create legends and add them to your floor plan so that other people in other services, like if you're an architect, if you're looking at an engineering drawing, you're not going to know what it means to have this insulation, like a 75mm insulation or a 50mm insulation. They'll have to specify what that means on the legend, right? So you can refer to the legend, have a look at it, and you'll understand what the drawing is. So usually we create legends for our own projects and we drag and drop them in because everything is usually standard, right? It's typical. So you can create those legends and they'll be saved. It's like a table of contents. You can go, you can click the legend and you can have this legend. You can add it to your sheet and everyone will be able to see it, right? So it's very similar to that, where after that, you have your views, you had your legends, then you have your sheets. These sheets are going to be what we create when we want to send it to someone or when we want to present it to someone, right? Sheets are usually what we send for approval, for construction, as built. It's what we send to the site. It's what we send to the contractors. It's what we send to everyone for them to have a look and refer. It's what we call the project documentation, right? Usually it's the legal binding documentation for a construction project or something like that. So you have your different sheets and you can create them. And when you create your sheets, you can add your views. So you take a view, you put it in your sheet, right? Let's look, for example, at this sheet over here. So in this sheet, you have this big sheet over here and you have a view which is inside that sheet. And that view you can find in the views section, right? But then this big sheet is created in this sheet section. So you have a sheet, you put a view inside it, and then you can print it and you can give it to someone. So you also have schedules, right? So you can have different schedules. What if you have a bunch of doors or a bunch of grills inside your project? You can create a door schedule, which tells you the information like the height, the width. If you have grills, you can give information about the width, the depth, the airflow, all of that stuff. You can create schedules and you can click these schedules and you can open them. And here's an example of a door schedule. It'll look something like this. It's all the doors in the whole project. So it's quite large, right? And you can create this all on Revit, and there's ways to do it where it'll automatically do it after you've created the project, right? So that's the smart thing about Revit, is it does these things for you automatically. So yeah, pretty much you have your views, you have your legends, you have your schedules, you have your sheets. You take a sheet, you put your legend into it, you put your views into it, and you send it off to everyone in a construction project, right? In addition to this, the final thing are groups, which we won't cover in this video. We'll talk about that later. It's not really that important. And you have families, right? You have family. These are all the families that have been loaded into the project, right? If you have different doors, different rooms, right? Different cables, casework, insulation, all of those different things, when you load it into the project, you will be able to see that under this families tab. So if you expand this, you can look at different types of families. So if we go, let's contract all of this so it doesn't get confusing. Okay, for example, these are the different types of families we see here. Let's look at doors. Let's expand doors. You have all these different types of doors. You have a curtain, door, wall, double, storefront, right? You have these different doors that have been added to the project. You can create your own doors, load them in, and they will come into this area over here. It's like a table of contents. It contains everything you have inside the project. All your sheets, all your views, all your families, pretty much everything. So it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Anything that you create that are families, which are like small objects that you can bring in that are repeating, like doors, windows, trees, stuff like that. When you load them in, they'll be shown in this family section. And yeah, that's all we'll talk about. The last thing is it'll tell you the links. So anything which is linked into the project, it'll give you like a rundown of what's in there. And yeah, if you contract every single one of them or collapse every single one of them, you have something neat like this. You can expand whatever you want in order to just have a look and see what view you want to open, right? So don't make it too confusing for yourself. Collapse it to the bare minimum so you understand what exactly each one of these things are. and then you can use them, right? You usually work with views most of the time until you create the floor plan. Then you start working on sheets, right? Because when you finish your floor plan, you put it in your sheet. You populate, all the information on the side over here, like the date, the revision, the project information, the scale, and then we send it off for approval, for construction, to build things, right? So that's all there is to the project browser. Hopefully you have a high level understanding about what to do with the ribbon, what to do with the project browser, and what to do with the properties, and how to navigate around sort of Revit. And it's not completely foreign to you right now, right? That's all there is when we look at Revit, right? We've gone through everything there is to interact with on Revit. Now let's talk about how to navigate through different 3D views and section views and stuff in the next remaining videos.